That is the lead color analyst for the NHL and NBC Sports, and that's our good buddy, Eddie Olczyk. Edzo, it's Zach Gelb here. How you doing?
Doing fine, Zach. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on. And it was a very frenetic and somber scene last night in Dallas as Rich Peverley collapsed on the bench. That was very frightening as we saw the scene last night unfold. And I actually saw when he regained consciousness, he wanted to get back on the ice. Eddie, I just could not believe what I saw last night in Dallas.
Well, I think it puts everything in perspective, Zach, when you think about what has taken place with the National Hockey League here over the course of the last year plus. Dominic Moore of the Rangers lost his wife, Matt Stajan, lost a newborn child here in the last week, and then all of a sudden, you have a traumatic situation in Dallas last night with Rich Peverley. So it certainly puts everything in proper perspective. And, you can see the looks on the fans' faces, the players' faces, the coaches, that everybody's, and rightfully so, everybody's attention was towards Rich Peverley. And I think the league handled it right by canceling the game. I think the medical people with the Dallas Stars and the Columbus Blue Jackets did an unbelievable job of how quickly and the immediacy that they went to the aid of Rich Peverley, and hopefully he's going to be okay. But one of those things that puts everything in perspective, and what a team does at the trade deadline or a player not performing, I think it really puts it in perspective that it goes to show if you don't have health, you have absolutely nothing. So hopefully Rich Peverley is going to be okay, and we can learn from this moving forward, not only as a game, but probably more importantly as human beings.
No question, you're absolutely right. It does put it into perspective, and I thought it was a good move, like you mentioned, to not continue that game last night. I don't know how a player would be able to go on and play on the ice after seeing that terrible event last night. Do you have an update on Peverley? I understand he did regain consciousness. Is he going to be all right?
Just what they've been reporting out there is that he's in stable condition, and other than that, just hope and pray for Rich Peverley and his family, and I'm sure that the Dallas Stars will keep everybody updated at some point here over the course of the next couple of days.
Former NHL player and coach Eddie Olczyk joins us on the hotline, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. Eddie now with NBC Sports. You could always hear him with Doc Emmerich as they both do a great job on the broadcast. And let's get to the Flyers. It's a big week for them over the next 5 games. They have a matchup up against the Devils tonight, 2 against the Penguins, home and home. And then next week they have Dallas and the Blackhawks coming into town. You look at Berube. He took over in October for Peter Laviolette, some big shoes to fill. And you really look at Berube, he's done a good job with this team, and he's got them into 3rd place in the Metropolitan Division.
I think Chief has done a great job, Zach. I think also, having a staff there with Joey Mullen, a former teammate of mine, Ian LaPerriere, a former teammate of mine, Jeff Reese, the goaltending coach, a former teammate of mine, and a guy who I was lucky enough to be coached by, and one of the 2 best coaches that I ever played for in the National Hockey League over my 16 years in the league, in John Paddock as an assistant coach with Craig Berube. They've really done a wonderful job there. They've gotten their team to be faster. They've gotten their team to be better defensively. They've been better without the puck. I think Paul Holmgren deserves a lot of credit for the moves that he's made. And again, I think a change in voice, a change in philosophy from Peter Laviolette to Craig Berube, but I think it become a faster team, a quicker team, and I think that's the way you got to play. And I think that they've done a really good job. And with the tough start that Claude Giroux had, and see where he is today, you wonder where the Flyers might have been, and you wonder if there would have been changes if Claude Giroux and the Flyers did get off to that tough start. But again, they did. They made the changes, and I just think that there's that belief now from the Flyers is that they can make the playoffs, and I believe that they will. because of the leadership of a guy like Claude Giroux and the job that Craig Berube and his staff has done to this point.
And Giroux's playing possessed ever since the Olympics, where he got snubbed from Team Canada, has 4 goals and 3 assists in those 5 games. What have you noticed changed with Giroux's game specifically? I know you got to saw him the other night.
Well, I think it's even been before that, Zach. I think that he's gotten his confidence back. I mean, early in the season, the Flyers and Claude Giroux were very fragile, and that comes with losing. That's just the reality of it. But when he is possessing the puck, and when he is, playing on his toes, he's a top 5 player in the entire National Hockey League. And you're right. I got a chance to see him the other night in the game against Washington. I'm going to be in Philadelphia next week when the Blackhawks come to town and take on the Flyers. So, this is a big week. A lot of games in a short period of time for the Flyers. But I just think that as Claude Giroux goes, so do the Flyers. But I just think that he's just playing with a boatload of confidence, and is why he's looked upon as one of the elite players in the entire National Hockey League, and he's certainly playing that way over the course of the last 35 games.
And they're playing against some competitive teams that are still in playoff races, and some of the best teams in the NHL as they welcome in the Penguins over the weekend. And I have to say, they have to win at least 3 out of these 5 next games. Mason's been in every game in net since returning from the break. I know Emery's still day-to-day, although he's back in practice. Heater still hasn't got a start in net. When you look at Mason, when can you possibly see them giving him some rest? Because he's going to need it eventually through the course of this week.
Well, that's a very good point, and I don't know the rotation or the possibilities that Craig Berube or Jeff Reese, the goaltending coach, would be thinking about. But certainly, you have to pick your spots here, getting down the stretch, and we know how important games are. And there are no gimmies anymore in the National Hockey League, but there is going to have to be a time where you're going to have to give Steve Mason an opportunity to breathe a little bit. And again, is it in a back-to-back situation? Is it in a non-conference game? Is it a non-divisional game? All those things come into the thought process of trying to figure those things out. But I would anticipate in a back-to-back situation is probably the time that you would see Steve Mason get an opportunity to get a breather a little bit.
A few more with Eddie O from NBC Sports. And Edzo, the Devils tonight, they come into town, into Philadelphia for a Tuesday night game. And there was a lot of rumors at the trade deadline that their longtime great goaltender, Martin Brodeur, could possibly be out of New Jersey as they were looking to trade him. Eventually, those trades didn't pan out. Were you at all surprised that Marty isn't on another team as we enter this game tonight come Tuesday?
I'm not sure where all those rumors started, I should say, Zach. President and general manager of the New Jersey Devils, Mr. Lou Lamoriello, I think made some comments after the trade deadline about just that. I think when you look at where the Devils are, why would you be thinking about moving out or sending out Marty Brodeur? I don't believe that there was any credence to the rumors or speculation. I don't think there were any hard facts on that. Because the Devils are, they're right in it, and you got to have goaltending, and Marty's been there and done that, and Corey Schneider's a pretty darn good goaltender, but there's something for experience, and Marty Brodeur is a Devil. I think he always will be a New Jersey Devil, and so I really didn't believe a lot of the so-called speculation on Marty being so-called in play at the trade deadline.
I read an article last week, and it was talking about DeBoer and how fortunate he feels to be coaching Marty and Jágr, 2 of the all-time greats in the game. And you look at Jágr this year, he's still going at an elite pace. How many more years can you see Jágr do it? And it really is impressive when you have a player at his age, over 40 years old, and he's still able to produce those numbers day in and day out.
Well, you look at what's going on in Anaheim with Timo Solani as well, and the Olympics that he had. Look, I played with Jaromir Jágr a long time ago. A ultra competitive, top condition hockey player, is having a spectacular year, a real solid signing by Lou Lamoriello. I could see Jaromir Jagr playing another couple of years for sure. But again, I mean, look, you can only outrace father time so long, and at some point, it's going to come to a slower pace, and maybe there comes a time where back-to-back games aren't in the offering for a guy like Jaromir Jagr. But look, when the guy has been as consistent as he's been, you're going to keep going to him. So look, why not? Why not play another couple of years? And I think he's earned that opportunity with the outstanding season. Now, if you're asking me from a manager or an ownership point of view, you're probably looking to sign him to a one-year deal. I don't think you want to be going to a two-year deal. And if the first year goes great, well then you can certainly do that. But he's earned the opportunity, that's for sure.
On the way out here with Eddie Olczyk, as I know you got to run, the big trade at the deadline, Marty St. Louis comes over to New York. Ryan Callahan goes down south to Tampa Bay. Break down that trade for me and give me your thoughts on it.
Well, I would say maybe that part of the country, I would beg to differ that the Ryan Miller trade wasn't as big or maybe even more impactful when things end up shaking out here when it comes to the Stanley Cup, Zach. But as far as the trade with Ryan Callahan and Marty St. Louis, I said this during our NBC broadcast the other day with Kenny Albert, who was filling in for Doc, who was under the weather. Is that I think it's a big picture trade. I think it ends up being a very good trade for both teams. Now, in saying that, from Tampa Bay's point of view, you had a guy down there, your captain, your best player, arguably, because Steven Stamkos wasn't back in the lineup, but he didn't want to be there anymore. Marty St. Louis wanted out, and he wanted to go to the Rangers. So, from Tampa Bay's point of view, you have a player, and Steve Yzerman, the general manager, honors the wishes of a guy that's been a Lightning player for 14 years and his captain. He honored his wishes, I think, is quoting him verbatim on how he addressed it post-trade. So he was out. You bring in a first-round and a second-round draft pick, a conditional second-round draft pick, but it might end up being another first-round draft pick depending on how the Rangers do moving forward, Marty St. Louis. And you bring in a guy like Ryan Callahan, who is a third-line player at best, that is an unrestricted free agent. Now, from the Rangers' point of view, I think when you look at the totality of everything that went on, you had Dan Girardi, an unrestricted free agent defenseman, on your roster, and you had Ryan Callahan. The Rangers decided to sign Dan Girardi, and I think that was the right move between the two players. They allocated the money to sign Dan Girardi and decided to move out Ryan Callahan when they could not come up to terms. So there is the trade with the Tampa Bay Lightning. So in essence, if you're the Rangers, you pretty much you got Dan Girardi signed and Marty St. Louis for this year and next year signed, and you traded away an unrestricted free agent, Ryan Callahan, and you got two high draft picks. So for me, I think it's a very good trade for the New York Rangers. You had to get Girardi in the mix. Callahan is a third-line player on a really good team. Would I want Ryan Callahan on my team? Absolutely. But not at $5.5 or $6 million, the amount of money per year that he was supposedly asking for. So I think the Rangers did a very good job in this trade. And I think one thing, too, that people haven't talked about, and I mentioned this the other day on the broadcast as well, Zach, is that, Mark Staal's contract's up after next season, another defenseman for the Rangers. It'll be interesting to see what the Rangers do prior to next year. Do they go in the next season with his contract being up like they did Lundqvist, Girardi, and Callahan, or do they get him signed up, or do they possibly move him? I got to think that the Rangers are going to get Mark Staal signed up, so I think it's a win-win for the Rangers in this trade when you look at the totality of everything that took place and everything that I kind of explained out for you.
Eddie, I agree with you. We appreciate a few minutes today. Thanks so much. It was great to see you on Sunday. I'm sure we'll see you once again a few times before the end of the regular season as we get ready to watch an excellent Stanley Cup playoffs. We appreciate a few minutes, and thanks so much.
Okay, Zach.
Eddie Olczyk right there from NBC Sports. We'll take a quick